Hi, my name is Chris Pratt, and my journey of discovery began totally by accident while I was preparing for a presentation on brain injury. You see, 11 years ago, I acquired a brain injury due to surgery, and although my war zone was the operating room, I have had direct experience coping with and attempting to manage some serious challenges. So if I slur a word occasionally, I hope you'll understand. While coping with these challenges, I have become an expert student of neuroplasticity and the enormous power that awareness, choice, and consequence can have on a damaged brain or as one faces age-related cognitive decline. In my mind, awareness, choice, and consequence rules every aspect of our lives. Everything that happens to us is a consequence of a choice we have made. Everything. We may not even be aware that we have chosen anything at all. However, a consequence still occurs. Whether we get diabetes from continually supersizing at McDonald's, hug a friend, or live in fear, everything has a consequence. It's a simple law of the universe: cause and effect, action, reaction. But how can I make a good choice if I'm unaware that there's a choice at all, or what the consequence of that choice might be? That is a great question because you cannot. The universe makes no accommodation for lack of awareness and ignorance. A choice will always have a consequence, whether it is an informed one or not. So never, never forget that doing nothing is also a choice, and that it will have a consequence. The extent that big money has taken control of the media and the press, of who and how we elect our officials, of governmental policies, both at home and abroad, is a reflection of a public that continually chooses to do nothing. So before you make that do-nothing choice, always ask yourself why. Deceptions is my attempt to increase your awareness. Awareness of the deceit, the fraud, the corruption, and the media manipulation that continues to be orchestrated by an elite never held accountable. What you do with this information is entirely up to you. My job is awareness. Your job is choice.
Hi, this is Jonathan Mark with Flyby News and Valley 9/11 Truth. I've done about 4 or 5 interviews here at GCTV, and mostly about 9/11, a lot about things that people might want to know about and things that people don't want to know about. But today I have a special guest with me. Chris Pratt is a resident from Brattleboro that produced a new film called Deceptions, and it's on the website at deceptionsusa.com. It's a brilliant kind of like exploration into his own experience, and I just want to introduce my friend Chris Pratt. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Can you give us the beginnings of your new-founded wisdom?
I will try. It really began years ago, almost 12 years ago, when I had brain surgery. And following that brain surgery, I was in pretty bad shape. I was in a wheelchair, and I couldn't balance one check in a checkbook. So in order to be part of my own rehabilitation, I did some obvious things, which is a lot of brain stimulation. I was aware of what I was eating and nutrition, and then getting enough rest and sleep and relaxation. And as a result of all those things combined, I had pretty significant cognitive gains, to the point where I wrote a program, did a website, started making presentations to other people about the significance of what's called neuroplasticity, which is basically your brain does whatever you tell it to. I mean, if you can think about it as like a basketball player, and if you play basketball with your right hand, or if you're a right-handed basketball player and you start playing with your left hand gets better after a while. Right. Your brain says, okay, you're going to start using your left hand, let's do the best we can to maximize it. Well, the same thing holds true in anything that way. And there's a thing called constraint-induced therapy, where people that have had strokes and they'll either favor an arm or a limb or something. Constraint-induced therapy, they actually make you restrain the good arm and make you use the bad arm. They say, if you're doing this, you're telling your brain, okay, don't use it. Mm-hmm. Don't use this hand, don't use this arm. So your brain says, okay, I won't. So if you do the opposite, and that's what constraint-induced therapy is all about, it gets better. So anyway, I became kind of a proponent of that, and I would say my first awakening happened just from that knowledge that you can do a whole lot of things once everybody says it's hopeless that make huge difference. I mean, I went from not being able to balance a check in a checkbook to doing film and whatnot. So
what part of your brain was affected by the...
it was mainly in the cerebellum area. So it affected my balance and affects my speech. When I get tired, I slur. My vision. But you have all the normal things, fatigue, and there's a whole host of things that were involved. But anyway, the first awakening was just kind of to come to that realization. And then at the tail end of that, somebody gave me Naomi Wolf's book, The Death of America, I think it was called. Mm-hmm. And from that, I started reading all these things, and it just kept getting worse and worse. It was just like the scariest, most horrible spy novel I could ever imagine reading, except it was true and it was happening right now, and it just kept getting worse. Mm-hmm. So I finally got to the point where I felt I really had to share this. I had to share my knowledge and put it into the form of a movie. I taught myself how to do video editing. I also have a little teeny video camera, although I think you'll find in Deceptions, anybody who wants to read it, that I knew I'd never be able to get to the point where I could be an expert videographer. I just didn't have enough time. I was too old. I didn't want to bother getting into that. So, but on YouTube and on the world is full of excellent video. It's out there. So if you know the themes. So what I did is I stitched together a mosaic of other people's work. I added my voiceovers. I added some stills. I added some music. You know, I wove my own story, but I wove it around other people. So a lot of the videos, exceptional video, some of the best out there because they're world-renowned people. Right. So it's good video. And you know, until the forces that be, you know, illuminate that channel to us, it's a wonderful resource of really good video. But anyway, when I was dealing with all that, I said, okay, how do I bridge these two disparate worlds? I've got the brain-injured world here that the way I perform my own rehabilitation was to be involved and engaged in tons of stimulation. And I have the post-9/11 world, which is almost being brain dead. It's turning things off. It's not wanting to be aware. It's not thinking. It's not being alert. So I said, well, how can those two somehow relate? Because I'm a fatalist, I guess, and I really think there must be some thing that I just can't understand here. And then it finally came to me, one world is all about promoting thinking, the other world is not. But if we ever want to create a new world order, to make a play on words there, it needs to be based on thinking. And you know, that's kind of where I think they need. So the same thing that helped in my own rehabilitation with brain injury fundamentally is the same thing that I hope will help us get out of this 9/11 amaze. We need to start thinking. We need to start being analytical. We need to start looking at things for ourselves, checking facts, become citizen journalists. I did this whole thing for less than $600. Anybody can kind of do it, but we just can't trust what's coming off the TV. We can't trust necessarily we have to find things out on our own. And you know, that I hope is what comes from all this, is that there's a new way of looking at things and realizing that, you know, we have a personal responsibility to know what the hell happened and to react to it somehow.
Well, I add another element besides thinking and being critical thinking. I think a lot of it has to do with love and fear. Mm-hmm. Because if you're fearful, you're going to maintain that closed position, and if you have enough love to be willing to look at things that might be scary, then you're exposing that into a light element of maybe, you know, more of an honorable human being.
Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't agree more, because I think that kind of aura attracts strength. Yeah. And you have the strength to put up with these forces of evil and darkness and whatnot, and realize in the big picture, and this is also one of the things that happen with brain injury, you kind of come to a place where you have to be true to yourself. And if there's any underlying philosophy I had before I even got into 9/11, it's as long as you're honest and truthful with yourself, then kind of whatever happens, happens. Mm-hmm. You don't look back and say, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or, you know, you kind of live your life to the fullest, and however the cards fall, they fall. The problem, however, exists in a lot of the 9/11 things is you can't necessarily do the right thing if you're not aware. And a lot of people don't realize, too, that doing nothing is a choice. And I think a lot of the world that we currently live in is the consequence